Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Two Gargoyles podcast. I am your host, Michael McAdam, and with me is my co-host, Kyle Burles. Hello, Kyle.
Party on, Wayne. Oh, wait.
Party on, Kyle. So we are the podcast that shows up whenever we have something to say, and in many cases, when we don't.
Or
we
nothing
show up
better
when
to do.
we feel like it. We wanted to talk about post-COVID because as near as we can tell, we're slowly coming out of it and starting to be social again. Here in Alberta, where we're based, you can actually go to a restaurant if you want to. You could actually go to a super spreader event like the Stampede. But hey, we don't know for sure it was a super spreader event yet. We're just assuming. But as we begin to look forward to maybe even having conventions start up again and, breathing some new life into, the whole nerd universe, it's time to look back on what we accomplished during COVID. So, I mean, a lot of us, I think, at least this is how it worked for me, is when we first started, distancing and locking down and staying home, or working from home or whatever, or even just being furloughed from our jobs, it was this tremendous opportunity. It was this amazing, oh my God, look at all the time I have. I'm going to be able to accomplish everything. My question for anyone watching is, how soon did you run out of ideas? How soon did you run out of motivation, right? Because that is always the hard part. For me, I am very motivated by bouncing ideas off of people, and people was not an easy thing to get. We started learning Zoom meetings, we started learning how to video chat, how to FaceTime and whatnot, but it's not the same as getting together for coffee or hanging out at a friend's place or whatever. It's hard to get that energy from people when you're not with them. Now, for a counterpoint, I was talking with Kyle before the broadcast, and Kyle has always been able to work better on his own.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, Kyle, when you had this opportunity, right? Oh, you mean I don't have to go into work? Like I can work at my own pace. I can do my own stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
It was a big woohoo.
Oh, yeah. It was fantastic. And about 3 days later, I realized how much stuff I actually have to do at home and couldn't actually sit down in my, office and actually draw and work on stuff.
Right, because you trade the perception of one thing for another. When you're working outside the home, things like housework and dealing with home stuff, it is, it's relegated to the second tier, right? It's a lower level. But if you've got nothing but home, suddenly you're forced to sort of deal with it and confront it.
And you can't say no to the dog.
Because you cannot say no to the dog. Absolutely not. In fact, I
could do work, but the dog is on my lap. So, I'll have to wait till she's done.
Well, I was going to say, at the end of the broadcast, we should put up a helpline number because you are quite often trapped and unable to work because of the demands of your loving dog. Yeah. Kyle just, for those of you listening at home, Kyle just made a very plaintive pause on the screen, staring into your eyes soulfully move, which he has sent us photos of on several occasions. That is something I should have asked for today, Kyle. I should have said, show me some pictures of your dog. There we go. Thank you. There's a picture of Kyle's dog, Missy Boo Boo, on his lap, forbidding him from working or, in fact, doing anything.
And then snuggling up tighter, being tight.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, you can't resist that kind of love. And also, I mean, that's quality time, right? Whether it's with a pet or a loved one or a child, the point is you're like, wow, there are no barriers to my spending time with you, right? And it's really hard to motivate yourself back to working on something creative when you know that you should be spending time with your loved ones that normally you don't have to make excuses to spend time with because you're busy, right? So that's one of the challenges. Now, me, I live alone and have no pets. So I had no excuses or challenges. It was just me and my work. And like you say, Kyle, the first, few days, I would say I managed a good solid 3 weeks. And then, suddenly it was like I was looking for things to do because I was bored of the things I was already doing. Yep. So in a way, I added more stuff on so that I could keep creating when I was at a low ebb with my other creativity. And that might be an ADD thing. I'm not sure, but yes.
Very, very much.
Very much. It's like, it's not that I don't like the project I'm working on, but I need a change of pace. I need something different. I got to go work with other things.
I can't start this first because I have to do this other part first before that. And if I'm doing that first part, well, I got to make sure this other part is cleaned off so I can clear that first. So, okay, now I'll go over to this. And, well, if I'm cleaning, I may as well go do the dishes. And, well, if I'm going to do the dishes, well, laundry probably needs to be done more. So I'm going to go down and do laundry. And then while I'm down doing laundry, well, the TV, I should double check that Grand Theft Auto is running. And then
you are describing my life. But I would be curious as to how many other people's lives you're also describing, because it is a rabbit hole, right? One thing definitely leads to another thing, leads to another thing. And then, because Kyle and I are both in our 50s, you guys, we're the type of people that, what?
No,
are you not 50 yet?
No, not 48.
Oh, you're 48. You're 48. I keep forgetting. I keep thinking you're 50.
No, you're the old man. I'm still young and cool and hip.
What was that about your hip?
I stood with it. Duck, 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 duck. Oh.
But what I was going to say is that we end up walking into rooms and forgetting why we're there because we just went through a 12-step program of things we should be doing and have lost our place.
I mean, I was supposed to be doing dishes right now. This is just what I'm doing in between. I just didn't want to do dishes. Just kind of walked in here. I'm like, oh, computer's on.
Yep. Sorry, podcast. Can't do dishes right now. Sorry about it. But we did get some stuff done during COVID. So I'd like to talk about what's coming up from Two Gargoyles Comics. We've got some good stuff going on here. So I need to do the share screen thing here. See if I can do that. The thing I'm most interested in is the first issue of The Magical Mr. Punch. Okay, Mr. Punch is a young British mage. No, he was not raised in a cupboard underneath the stairs. And this is all about his adventures as we see from both the present day and in a series of flashbacks as to where he got his powers in the first place. So you can see on the cover there, we've got a winged gorilla. We have a mage with nasty looking green magic. And then we have, of course, our hero holding a very young version of himself up for your inspection. So yes. Oh, and of course, our friend Sherry. Hi, Sherry. She's like, yes, all things Punch. I have been sharing Punch with Sherry, and she has wonderfully been able to give me feedback on it. Like I was saying before, feedback really drives me forward. And so I've actually completed 2 issues of Punch, and the second one's being colored now. It's all been lettered, it's all been drawn and inked, it's just waiting for the colors, and that's the second issue. So yes, I was not idle for there. Another comic we've got coming up is we have Thunder #3. Thunder, of course, is being drawn by Mark Marvita. And Punch, by the way, was being drawn by the absolutely delectable Meljoy San Juan, who really, really has a great feel for the character. I just love her. So we'll look at the cover for Thunder #3 here, and boom, there 'tis. And we have Thunder fighting a giant, a big blue giant. And, well, because he's a frost giant, you see.
You ain't never had a friend like me.
I know it is a little like Angry Genie from Disney, and it's like how indie comics people don't get the pantsuit off them just for, you know, random stuff like this. I don't know. I promise you guys, nowhere in the script description does it say he looks like the genie from Aladdin. But
and he probably doesn't in the actual book. It's just right there because of the big ponytail.
Right, just at this moment. And tremendous art by Mark Marvita, colors by his brother Marvin. The Marvitas are an amazing slam dunk team. They are like the whole package, you guys. And so I'm very, very pleased to be bringing out Thunder #3. And if you can see, just underneath the #3 there on the cover is the CCBA logo, the Canadian Comic Book Alliance, because Two Gargs is now part of that. And so, yes, we are definitely looking forward to conventions coming out where we can all cross-promote each other's books and really help bring a knowledge of indie comics to the Canadian forum, because Canada needs more indie comics. It needs a greater comics personality. Yeah, we were really hoping to promote Canadian creatives for sure. Oh, and Sherry logs in and says, yes, all things Thunder. He needs his own cereal. He does. He does. I wanted to make those fun little cartoon cereal boxes, you guys, with Thunder Crunch cereal, and just make it fun. And I may yet do that. Who knows? I love little promo things.
But it just clutters your desk, clutters your table.
Oh, it just clutters my desk. It does. It does. I like clutter, though. It's good. I feel good about it. Our buddy Mike, when he hears this podcast, it's going to come down on us for that. Mike is actually, when Mike creates a table for a convention, it's very, very orderly, and everything is very, very logical. Whereas Kyle and I are less logical and orderly. I would say you're better than I am, Kyle, because when you are showing your prints, you display them very advantageously. But I have gone through so many.
I clutter hard.
You're the clutter master. And I have been up and down with how I merchandise my table. So of course, Mike's advice to me was always, hey, don't clutter up your table. And I'm like, but pretty things. And I want to clutter up my table. So we'll see what his feedback is to this. But yeah, so we've got those two comics coming out. Twilight Detective Agency #2 just came out, thanks to everybody that backed on Kickstarter. Very, very successful. Very happy with that. Thunder #3 will be our next Kickstarter, and that'll be sometime in August. And then we have Twilight Detective Agency #3 is already half done. The artist, Miguel Cabello, is just doing amazing stuff. And we're really, really enjoying the look of the book. Of course, Mike Rieger is himself working on the spin-off Twilight Detective Agency Girls Out, which follows the lives of two girl gargoyles as they flee from, place to place, trying to avoid mages that are out to kill them. And that is set in the same universe as Twilight Detective Agency and features cameos from Mr. Punch, from Hawkstone and Riverdale of Twilight Detective Agency. And he's on issue 3 right now, you guys. So, I mean, there's some great stuff. When conventions start up again, and I got to say, I am looking forward to this. Kyle, are you looking forward to conventions?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm still wearing my mask.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'll be wearing my mask, too, because you got to be careful. You got to be safe. And yes, free hand sanitizer for everybody. In fact, we recommend it. But I'm looking forward to hitting the ground running with all of our new stuff, like a big explosion of new stuff, because I think all us nerds have really, really been missing conventions, and not having that outlet, not having that. I mean, that's our social time, and that's our finding the cool stuff time. You can shop online all you want, but you won't find truly individual creative things unless you go to where they are sold, and that is at a convention.
Or KyoHazard.com.
Oh, that's right. We have Kyle. In fact, I happen to have a banner for that, Kyle. Boop, there we go. You can purchase things at KyoHazard.com. You can follow Kyle on social media at KyoHazard. And by all means, support Kyle, support art, support us, for God's sake. We would really, really like that. As for Two Gargoyles comics, well, I've got a banner for that. Boom, at Two Gargs or twogargs.com. But these days there's so much social media, you guys, so much, that I've started a link tree, which I've put up here now. Everything to do with Two Gargs is under that link tree. And hey, if you want to support Two Gargs, if you want to donate to Two Gargs, it's even got a PayPal link. So you can buy merch, you can buy the comics, and you can just support with cash if you don't need comics cluttering up your place. By all means, please check out our links, you guys, and support us where possible. But getting back to conventions, I was talking with a buddy of mine who's into, what are they called again? Oh, yeah, sports.
Oh.
What did you say? Furries? No, I do have furry friends too. But no, we're talking about how he has lost all sense of time during COVID because all the sports were shut down and sports have seasons. So, autumn for football, winter for hockey, that kind of thing, right? And I realized that for us nerds, it's also similar because we plan our year around the conventions we plan to attend or exhibit at. So, there's one in Calgary in April, there's a horror con in June, there's one in Edmonton in October, we plan our year that way. It's kind of keeps us producing because it's kind of a deadline that we give ourselves. Got to have new stuff by this convention. And when you take that away, it's like, well, I can still produce, but what's my goal? Where's the finish line? And it's very hard to find motivation if you don't have a deadline. Thoughts?
It's finished. It's been finished for a while. What has been? Gloaming number 4.
Oh, yes. The Gloaming number 4. The comic I keep forgetting to mention. You guys, I don't know what my mental problem is with
because the comics we're not doing and we haven't finished yet. Those are going to be the next Kickstarters. The comics we have done, we'll get to it.
Yeah. I got to tell you guys, full stop here. I don't know what my problem is. I really don't. Kyle is my co-host on this show. He is the artist on a horror comic Gloaming that we're 4 issues deep into now, okay? Gloaming number 4 is being published on Patreon, a page at a time, and then we're Kickstartering the print run, and it is the comic in all of Two Gargs, the comic I continually forget to mention. And I'm not trying to insult you, Kyle. I think it's become a mental block. Maybe I'm afraid of the comic. I don't know. It is a horror comic. It's pretty spooky. And for those of you that don't know, it is about a journalist that comes to a small town called Gloaming looking for a boy that never existed. And it gets weird from there. And I mean, we're 4 issues in, revealing this, that, and the other secret as we go on. I like to think it really draws the reader in and, keeps you going, right? If it were a Netflix show, it would be binge worthy, and yet I can't seem to remember it at all. We have a comment here from Sherry. This question's for Kyle. Have you been working on Gloaming or just doing dishes, which I assume is code for masturbating?
No, I have different codes for masturbation.
Oh, okay, there we go. That's right, Sherry. The codes need to be precise. Okay, you can't just guess.
Eye contact.
Prolonged eye contact. Yes. What was it? What was your term for Netflix? Oh yes, Pornhub.
Yeah.
You got your Netflix and chill. You got your Pornhub and chill. Absolutely. See, Sherry knows that Kyle has a wicked sense of humor, and I think she's trying to draw him out. Aha! On guard. Repartee. Oh. Kyle, what have you been working on during COVID in terms of prints? Like, there are things that you set out to work on, but then you get inspired to work on other things.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done as many prints as I wanted to. I've had a couple corporate gigs that I did.
Awesome.
Some comic work that was not for me. I've got my own personal comic project, which I'm still working on and still charging away on. Bunch of commissions. So
nice.
I haven't been working on the prints near as much as I should have. And once we get back into con season, that should ramp up a fair bit.
Right, because you have a goal then, right? Something to work forward to. So you did a couple of comics for a corporation. Like you actually did corporate comics, which is kind of awesome, right?
I have no idea if I'm allowed to say what company. So
yeah, we'll keep it secret. But just the idea of especially during COVID when you're not working at a side job, right? To be hired, by a company that has real money, to actually pay you to make a comic is actually kind of an achievement for us indie comics people. It's a big deal. And can you tell us anything about your personal comic that you're working on?
Yes, as I posted some links up, you can follow the process on my Patreon. I've got the full comic as it goes up for my Patreons. But nice. It is a neo-retro crime adventure.
Neo-retro crime adventure.
Yes.
What is neo-retro?
It's it's basically the fact that the aesthetic is very much the 1970s interpretation of the future. Because you go back and watch a lot of movies like in the 50s, like, no, here's the future of 2000. There's still a bunch of all the regular 50s things, just slightly sci-fi'd. And we're like, no, that's not the way it turned out. But, I always like that thing of that era's, it's like, oh, this is the 1950s, but I'll just use my space telephone. It is still a rotary phone, but
nice. And you guys, patreon.com/Kyle Hazard is Kyle's Patreon. What is the name of your comic, Kyle?
It is called Stag. It's the main double G, STAGG. It's actually my great-grandfather's last name.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
And my family on that from Scotland.
Interior connections there.
Yeah.
And you guys, you can see it a page at a time on patreon.com/Kyle Hazard. I put that up on the screen there for you.
Thank you.
And you're doing it like an old newspaper serial comic, right?
Yeah, like the old daily adventure strips. Currently.
Oh, see, and I love that format. It's very, very exciting. I like it. And also, you guys, if you didn't already know, Kyle is the master of 70s culture and 70s pop culture. So the references, the visuals, because I've seen this comic, are amazing and so fun. And if you're of a certain age, very nostalgic as well. You're like, oh my God, I remember this. This is so cool. All right, patreon.com/Kyle Hazard. You guys absolutely check it out.
I should have had some visuals pulled up, but I didn't.
Oh, sorry?
I should have had some visuals pulled up for it, but I didn't.
No. Kyle and I always log on an hour before we actually do the show to discuss what we're going to talk about on the show. And we always forget stuff. And we always leave stuff out, which is funny. I always forget to promote the comic Kyle and I do together. And Kyle always forgets to promote himself. So I'm wondering if Kyle has some kind of weird energy field where you're just not supposed to talk about him. It's a secret. Mentalk, the mind taker. Oh, goodness. So coming down the pipe, what do we got going on? Obviously, the year is half over, and we're still not sure, will there be conventions? Rumor has it the Calgary Expo is going to go on in September. The last I checked, I was still a comics guest there, but I've heard nothing from them. So I don't even know if I'm still going to be a guest there. But if I am, I will be going, and I will see you there. And yes, I will be wearing a mask. And in case you're wondering, yes, I am double vaxxed. So I've had both my shots, and I'm raring to go. But they are social distancing the show, and they are, I think, only selling 25,000 tickets. I think is what they say on the website. So if you are interested in getting back into the convention scene, you guys, maybe go to calgaryexpo.com and just check on that and see if you can get your tickets before they sell out, which I suspect they probably will. We've got the Calgary Stampede going on now, and if that's any indication of people's desire to get out and go and be with other people, then I think the convention's going to be quite successful. But of course, everything remains to be seen because there's no foretelling the future in the times of COVID. But that's our show for today. Any parting thoughts, Kyle?
No.
No. I'd like to thank you guys so much for joining us. We will try to be doing a show more often as topics come up. Please check out twogargs.com. Check out kyleHazard.com. Check us all out and give us some feedback on what you enjoy or what you'd like to see on the show. Or if you have any comments on our comics or on our art, anything that we do, we would love to hear from you. And we would love to maybe have a couple of you on the show sometime and we can chit chat back and forth about nerd things. So this has been the Two Gargs live stream podcast. Your hosts have been me, Michael McAdam, writer, and Kyle Burles, artist. And if you want to help us succeed, here's what you can do. If you're watching this on Facebook, give us some thumbs up. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe down below. And if you're listening on the iTunes, please give us a 5-star review. Thanks so much, you guys. I am Michael McAdam. This is Two Gargoyles, and we out.